Welcome back to the Nutrient for Life celebration of Global Fertilizer Day. We're excited to have you all with us today, and we're excited to talk to you about the fertilizer industry and, more importantly, the food industry that fertilizer makes possible. So what we're doing today is we're going through and we're meeting people who make this industry go. And the next person we're going to meet is Pamela Mayo. I think you're going to like Pamela. Pamela has got a very interesting background, and she's got a more interesting job today. Pamela is the product manager at Helena Corporation for the Florida region. So Pamela is a born and bred Floridian. She's spent her life in Florida. She spent her career so far in Florida. She's going to talk about how she got interested in the ag business very early on because her dad was a veterinarian for large animals. And she's going to talk about what it took to get to the job that she's got today. She's going to be interviewed by Tracy Baxter, who's our Southeast Regional Representative for the Nutrients for Life Foundation. Tracy is a teacher and a wonderful interviewer, and she's going to lead this discussion between with Pamela. So with that, let's meet Pamela and Tracy.
Hello, students and teachers. I'm Tracy Baxter, and I'm the Southeast Representative for Nutrients for Life. And my guest today is Pamela Mayo, and she is the product manager for the Florida division of Helena Agri Enterprises. Pamela, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to meet with us and talk to our students and teachers.
No problem. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it, and it's an honor that you asked.
Well, thank you. Well, I'm going to just jump right in.
Okay.
What we'd like to know is, how did you begin your career in agriculture?
So my career in agriculture actually started at a really young age. I grew up in agriculture, but in a different way than many people would think. My dad was is a large animal veterinarian here in Florida, and so we had our own family practice. So I remember since the time that I could walk, and even when I was just in a car seat, he would drive me around farm to farm because he's large animal focused, and I'd be the gate opener. And that's when I got my first taste of what agriculture encompassed, but little did I know that there was so much ahead of me.
Definitely. Oh, that's a great beginning. Tell me a little bit about your education.
So growing up, I actually was really that student that loved math and science. And so when I went to middle school, I actually went to a magnet school that focused on math, science, and technology. While in middle school, I was into sports and math and science and got a taste of 4-H, because when you go to a magnet school, sometimes they don't offer that agricultural extracurricular activity. So I joined a local 4-H club. After I went from middle school, I went to high school, and at that point I decided I didn't want to go to an IB school actually, but I wanted to go to a school that had a heavy agriculture program so that I could see that, is this really my passion? So I went to Riverview High School. From there, I got even more involved in 4-H and FFA, where my love for agriculture just grew exponentially. And at that point, I got really involved into FFA and 4-H and doing showing cattle and into different projects and competitions like vegetable judging, which now I use today, and dairy judging and parliamentary procedures. So it taught me a little bit of the business order of things. Once I graduated high school, I actually went straight into the University of Florida. Go Gators.
Go Gators.
I started the summer as soon as I graduated high school. I was at University of Florida, and I studied animal sciences as well as food and resource economics. Originally, the animal science portion, I was focused on veterinary medicine. So I took a lot of math, a lot of science, really loved it, loved all of my animal science classes. But something in me said, pick up some business classes too. And that's when I picked up the agribusiness major, which is food and resource economics. So I absolutely loved it, had great professors there, networked a lot, and figured out that there was another world outside of animal sciences. So I continued to grow there. And then I graduated University of Florida and continued to work at the vet school. Working at the vet school at UF was actually my college job. So it gave me a way to interact and have hands-on activity with my passion in addition to classes. I moved back home to Riverview, Florida after that, and started working for the Florida State Fair Foundation. And then after that, I went into more of a business route and worked with Amazon for a little bit. Decided that I didn't have enough ag interaction, and now I'm here with Helena.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, good. And we actually met at the Florida State Fair, didn't we?
We sure did. We sure did. That was it. And I forgot. I also worked for the Florida State Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. So after I had left Amazon, I was like, I need to get back in agriculture. And I ended up with state government working with animals. So, and then after that, we start working with Helena.
That's great. That's great. Well, can you kind of tell our students what is a typical day like, or even a week as a product manager, to kind of just give them an overview of what your job really looks like?
Oh man. So with my job as a product manager at Helena, I want to say no day looks the same. And that's what I love about it, to be honest. There's so many different parts to being a product manager that there's always something new to work on or something to learn. And I'm definitely still in that learning phase as a newer hire with Helena. So generally what my job includes is basically, as a product manager, I need to know the products. My job is to know what our company provides to our customers, to our potential customers, which are growers, that help grow the food that goes onto your table. So with that, that day could include a day of being out in the field all day, where I'm doing research trials with our team and talking to growers, communicating with them, seeing what their needs are, seeing what they're looking to enhance on their crop, how to improve it, and kind of get an idea of what the health of their crop is looking like, and maybe look at what products meet those needs. And then I could have a day in the office. And my day in the office could entail looking at data sheets and numbers, sales numbers, and see what products are moving, what products aren't moving, looking at what we can do to improve products. I mean, that's a thing that you always have to do as a product manager, is see how we can meet that grower's need, and if there's something we can improve, to do it and do some research on it. So a lot of research on the computer as well. And then I have other days where it's a combination of both. I start off in the office in the morning, and then I end out in the field because I have a question about something. And I'm such a visual learner that I need to see it in person. So I may come up with something in the office and then go out to the field to follow up on it.
That sounds exciting. Yeah, you're right. No 2 days are really the same, are they?
They really aren't. They really aren't. Ever since I've started, it's been a different day every day.
And I hope you don't mind me asking this, but I did a little research, and I just thought this might be something the students would be interested. I've read that a job similar to yours, the salary range could be anywhere between like $65,000 and $75,000 a year, and could possibly include a vehicle. Does that fit with what you've seen in the field?
It does. It
Okay.
does. To be realistic, and that's one thing, when you're a student at that age, I was just there not too long ago. At that point, you have to be able to, when you're looking for a job, one, be passionate about it. You definitely want to be in something, a career that you care about. Once you do that, then you also have to consider, is that a career that you can be financially stable in? And so this career that I'm in is definitely one of those. My salary does range in that range. But in addition to having that salary, what are the benefits? And one of the benefits is getting my own work truck. So that definitely, especially at the high school age, you start considering those things, as well as college age, where having a work vehicle can be very beneficial, because then you don't have to worry about those other associated costs on your personal vehicle, because you have that extra benefit.
Thank you very much. And I know you, of course, graduated from college and that type of thing, but we may have some students that are deciding to go a different route, maybe not going the college route. A company like Helena, would they have opportunities for people without a college degree?
For sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's one thing about Helena. is the endless opportunities. And I truly, truly mean that. And though I'm more recent to the family, I could tell from the first day that I had opportunities ahead of me. No matter what my experience was, that if I had the work ethic, I could make it happen. And the team here will help you in any way possible. And so if you don't have, a lot of people think that if you don't have a college degree, you can't make it to a certain level, and that's not true. Like I mentioned earlier, the benefits with Helena are amazing. You have the opportunity to further your education with Helena, which is awesome. Not many employers do that. And if you don't have that college degree and you're wanting to pursue something different, whether it's, working out in the field as a salesman or working at a warehouse, there's a lot of managerial positions that, are available and that are open. You can definitely find ways and different things, avenues to get where you want to go, even if you don't have that college degree. And Helena definitely has those opportunities for you.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that. Well, last question, but it's a big one.
Okay, I'm ready.
What advice can you give a student who's considering this type of job? And if you don't mind, speak a little bit about women in agriculture and just from your experience, what you think could possibly be some opportunities for them.
For sure. Definitely a great question. If I were to sum it up in one word, but I'm going to go into a little bit more detail, the one word summary would be perseverance. That's a word that my grandmother has told me every day since I was little. She said, if you really want to do something or be someone and grow into your passion or make a career out of your passion, you have to persevere. You're going to have obstacles in life, no matter what aspect of life it may be. It could be school related. Sometimes, you don't get that A on that test that you wanted or that B that you really strive for. You have to be able to push past those things. And it could be something else. It may not be school related. It may not be work related. It may be finance related. But if there's a will, there's a way. And as cliche as it sounds, the older I get, I realize that holds to be true. So I want to make sure I repeat it so that you guys hear it, even though you've probably heard it, to say it again, because that's something that will play in the back of your head later on in life. Getting into agriculture and being a woman in agriculture, it's definitely a position that I think it has a stereotype or a certain stigma at first, where a lot of people see the farmer in overalls and they see the male farmer in overalls. They don't necessarily see the woman. I think social media nowadays is starting to act as a good way for more people to see past that image. But at the same time, there are women in agriculture. And if anything, I'm definitely proof. I'm an example of that. So getting to where I was in my role as a woman in agriculture, I think a piece of advice I'd really love to give you guys past the perseverance aspect is network. Use your resources. I never thought at first sight or when I was 5 years old thinking about what I wanted to be in life that I would necessarily be on the crop side. I knew it was agriculture, but I didn't know what aspect of agriculture I would be in. So as you grow and as you continue to talk to people about what you want to do in life, keep your eyes open, be open-minded on the different opportunities that lay ahead of you. Because sometimes when we're so focused on one point, which it is absolutely great to be, say you want to be a veterinarian and you just focus on being a veterinarian, you may miss some other opportunities. And I'm not saying to just look past a veterinarian, but to seize all the opportunities on your way to becoming a veterinarian. And you never know, maybe life will surprise you and you see something else that you're going to love more than being that position that you originally thought of. I know that's what happened to me, and I honestly can't be happier. So with my job as a product manager, especially with Helena, just a little bit background. I think I skipped around earlier and didn't really give a background of what I do in addition to as far as the products. But Helena Agri Enterprises LLC focuses on crop production. So it is more of a horticultural agricultural company. So we focus on plants. And we focus on the aspects that improve plants themselves. We give plants what they need, what they're missing during their most stressful points. and also improve the environment that surrounds them. So those are the products that we create. And so, like I said earlier, I may have originally had a life that was more focused on the animal side of things, but because it's agriculture, it's all one big circle. It all relates somehow. So as you grow and as you continue to make your steps in life and you follow that journey, take it all in, remember what you're learning, because later in life, it could all just connect. But if you continue to persevere and you see that your journey is going a different track that you originally thought, as long as you keep working hard, you're going to end up where you want to be and where you're meant to be.
Oh, that's a good word, perseverance. I love that. Yeah.
Yes. And
that's great.
Sure. And,
keep your eyes, it's good.
Yeah.
It's good to be focused, but you never know what's around the bend. So
that's true. That's so true. And the biggest thing is, in my personal experience was I had so many friends that were citrus growers or involved, or their parents were, or their parents grew pasture or sod. So, I talked to them about where they came from, and then they knew that I came from more of a veterinary medicine side of things. And later on, I realized that, hey, I want to be there, and let me try it out. It never hurts to try something new. A lot of times people are like, oh, do you like Brussels sprouts? And you say, no, and I don't want to try it. One day if they put a little bacon on those Brussels sprouts, it may be a little bit more tasty. So it's the same thing with life. You try, and if you don't like it, you can move on, but you won't regret that you didn't try it.
I totally agree. What great advice. And I'm a science teacher by background too, and now working with Nutrients for Life and learning more about fertilizer, I have been astonished by how much science is involved in the fertilizer industry. And honestly, it's just opened my eyes. I knew it was there, but never to the degree that I've seen now. Have you found that to be the same way?
Same, very same. We both have that similar science background. I went to University of Florida with the animal science degree, but with that, I had to take my chems and my biologies. And I told my fiance at the time when I received the job, I said, I feel like I'm a little bit back in school. I have to remember all of the science that I learned. It is so in depth. So this career, definitely, if you love science, hey, this is something. And if you don't, it's something that you can definitely pick up and learn. And if science isn't the heavy core of your focus, or maybe math is, Helena has other positions here that could focus more towards your passion or your stronger points. So, but yes, my position definitely holds a lot of science and way more than I thought. You just never know. You just never know.
Pamela, thank you so much. I can't tell you. Students and teachers, Pamela is going to be available for live questions. So if you've got any, start chatting in, and she'll be glad to be answering those for you. And just happy Global Fertilizer Day, everybody. And Pamela, I cannot thank you enough for taking the time to speak to our students and teachers.
No problem. Thank you so much for having me. And guys, if you have any questions, please start asking, and I'll be so happy to answer them.
Hello, Pamela.
Good morning. How are you doing?
We are all doing fantastically. Nice job on your discussion.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Well, we are thrilled to have you. And I see that we've got some questions coming in.
Great.
Actually, I was going to ask exactly this question that came in from Adam this morning. How has the FFA and the 4-H impacted your career?
Wow. I don't think I have enough time to really say how much it impacted me. Hi, Adam, by the way. FFA and 4-H, I will say, was a huge guiding point for me. It impacted overall, just generally speaking, it impacted my life and my career greatly. Being involved in FFA and 4-H, not only did I have a family there that encouraged me, and besides my parents, because we all know parents tell you one thing and you hear that, and then you have your FFA advisors and your peers tell you, and then you're like, you know what, I'll give it a try. So FFA opened up a lot of doors. It helped me meet new people, and it opened up my mind to other opportunities that lay ahead of me. So FFA had a major impact in the opportunities that I ended up seizing, which created the path to where I am today. So FFA and 4-H was huge.
Wow. Yeah. Katie Cooper, she's blasting in the questions.
I noticed with Miss Melinda. Hi, Katie.
She has got two of them for you. One you already answered. So the average salary for a product manager, I think you said it was 65 to 75,000.
65, 75, just depending on, if it's what company you're working for, what area of ag, but generally speaking, 65, 75.
Okay. Now we're gonna put your science knowledge to work here.
Oh gosh.
This is a tough one. This is a very tough one. Do insects have a role to play in making nutrient decisions?
Yes, of course. That is a huge thing, and it depends on what type of insect we're talking about. And the role, let's say, I'll give you one, for example, a rust mite, right? So that's technically an insect, but it's also considered a pest in the citrus industry. Another one would be the psyllid, which is a bug, just generally speaking, general terms. It's a bug that flew over, it came actually from overseas, and it created a massive problem here in the United States, especially in Florida with citrus trees, and it actually created citrus greening problem. So in that instance, yes, insects can have an impact on nutrients that a plant needs because they can make it deficient in something, or it could harm it in a way that, in my role, a product may help, and may help, anything that it depletes it of, it'll help replenish it of. But then there's also good insects that help move that biological process in the soil that'll help make a plant grow because it increases the uptake or the availability of nutrients for uptake by the plant. So it's a great question. Insects can have a very positive or negative impact on plants.
So broadly, what you're talking about is how all of these things are interrelated.
Yes.
So fertilizer isn't just throwing some of those crystals onto the ground.
Not at all. Not at all. It's a huge scientific process. I know earlier in the interview we were talking about how does science relate. Science is all around us. Science is everything that we do. Everything is connected in a sense. And so fertilizer, Melinda, I think, mentioned it earlier when she was saying, can there be different fertilizers used or different products used for different crops? Yes, because certain crops like corn, I think was the example she used, is very nitrogen heavy and needing it. And so in that aspect, you have other crops that may not need that nutrient, but may need another one, like phosphorus. And so the products that we apply, whether it's fertilizer or other supplements to the soil, it helps improve the atmosphere or the environment for that plant to get those nutrients faster and at a better rate so that they can be healthy, especially at the most stressful points, such as when they bloom. People don't realize that when a plant blooms, it uses up so many nutrients and then it has nothing left to grab from. But if we continue to take care of the soil and the surrounding environment, that plant can get those nutrients when it needs it the most.
Pamela, you did such a good job in your interview. And in fact, you inspired me and I was taking notes. So there was, you gave 3 pieces of terrific advice. So you said perseverance is the first key.
Yes.
I think you said where there's a will, there's a way. I know my mom told me that. I love that. You said network, use your network, get out there and talk to people. And you said, don't be afraid to try something new. And you use the bacon and Brussels sprouts. Perfect example. I love that. That's what got me to like Brussels sprouts. So those are 3 pieces of great advice. Do you have any more advice?
Gosh, I think it depends on how much time I have, but besides networking and persevering and trying new things, using your resources wisely is really important. I think that kind of ties into the networking and all the above, but I could separate it as a separate point as well. Resources are huge. I have this teacher, and it was actually my FFA advisor, that told me that, some people think using Google isn't the greatest tool. With the era that we're in right now, technology is huge, and it can be a great resource to help you in all aspects of life. And work-related, LinkedIn or certain networking things that you can reach through internet sourcing or whatever it may be is a good tool to use to keep going. So use your resources, whether it's through technology and your farming and it's farming equipment, or a computer to help you, research something. I use a computer every day. It's an amazing tool for me to inform me on things that I don't know. But then, of course, when you use your resources wisely, make sure you use good resources. So when you do search for something in college and in high school, I know you guys get taught, how to decipher what's a good resource. So use great resources wisely would be another one.
Nice. 4 pieces of advice. I love it. One last question for you, Pamela. I think we could talk all day, but we'll wrap it up with this one. Especially thinking about the high school and the middle school kids who might be watching this today. You've had an interesting career arc already, and you're still very young. But as you think back, what were the 1 or 2 classes that really inspired you and you use today that maybe when you were sitting there in middle school, you thought, why am I doing this?
That's a great one. That's tough. That's really tough because the funny thing is in middle school and high school, there's going to be, sorry teachers, but there's going to be a lot of classes where you're sitting there and you're like, how am I going to use this again? And I understand because I have some classes even out to this day that I reflect on that and say, but actually each class that you take, and I mean every single one, each class that you take has a life lesson in it. I know we all have curriculums that we have to study, and you're doing inverse operations or different mathematical equations or learning about one process of biology, and you say that I'm never going to use this again. There may just be a piece of each of those things that once all connected in the bigger picture, when you get to that career job or any step on your way to your career job, you'll end up using. And not to take up too much time, but I'll give you just a really quick rundown for me how that related. So when I graduated or in college, I worked for the University of Florida College of Veterinary Medicine. So I stay to the animal science of things. And so I use science. I use biology a lot. Anatomy, you learn anatomy in school and you're like, how's that going to relate? Especially if it's not animal anatomy and I want to be a veterinarian. Human body parts and animal body parts are very similar. Though that there's many differences, there are a lot of similarities. So I ended up reusing that. So I said, oh, a human has that, so it is an animal. And when I went to Amazon, I worked for Amazon, I stayed more on the business side of things, math. Learning math and learning how to construct Excel spreadsheets. You're like, why do I need to know how to input a formula? I use that a lot. When I worked for the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services, so state government, I did animal disease control. So learning critical thinking and being able to inspect animals and look for sickness in animals was huge. And that was another science aspect that I was able to tie back into. So all of those things led me to where I am today, because actually each one of those aspects, whether it's customer service or learning how to do a PowerPoint. I know you guys do presentations all the time and you're like, how am I going to use this later? It built that foundation so I can talk to people, so that I can critically think for myself, so that I can use an equation or at least look up how to use one once I've forgotten, to apply it to whatever that may be, whether I'm calculating a dosage of what to spray on a crop. So all things relate. I know it may not make sense now, and right now you glaze over in class like, how am I going to use it? You will. So keep paying attention, keep pushing, persevere and strive, and you will get there. And it all click into place on how you and why you learned what you learned.
Pamela, thank you very much. Very much appreciate it. Happy Global Fertilizer Day. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Bye.